Seen this guitar?
Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Yeah, that's right, I found one of the Gibson Tour guitars. I've always wanted to document a guitar like that, because they show off some cool stuff. We just talked about that yesterday if you missed it. But here it is, the Burl Top Les Paul Custom. Now, normally I'm not a big fan of Burl Tops, but this one had me slightly captivated because I like the way that it kind of comes in at an angle with your figuring, and it never really showed off in those videos very good, so I thought we would just see, does it actually look good in person? As well as, figure out what exactly are the specs for this one. So, as far as dancing chatoyant effect, unfortunately, no. I don't think it really moves. Like, maybe a little bit this way. It's like the flame pattern's going a different way than usual, but it's still unique enough to document because I was shocked. This is actually a Crimson division. Now, if you don't know what that means, this is a step above Custom Shop. This is where like the really special guitars go through. They're still made at the Custom Shop, but usually they have some special attention as far as the small, finer details. But they get their own special COAs, and they're called Crimson Division guitars because of the red tape that adorns them throughout the production process. Think Fender Master Built versus Team Built. Kind of like that, but not exactly. So it's not just fancy schmancy art guitars like the Dragon Les Paul that the Crimson Vision creates. However, that's what they're most popular and known for, but they also do like archtop guitars like the really high-end L5s. But they also do things like the Les Paul Ultima too. Any type of really fancy inlay artwork, usually it'll be Crimson Division stuff. They can have some fun, so check out these videos if you happen to have missed them. So what makes this Crimson Division worthy? Well, it's actually a base 68 Les Paul reissue custom. So a 68 reissue means we've got the ABR1 bridge, we have the long neck tenon, it still has the maple top with the mahogany back and mahogany neck. So spec-wise, the 68 versus the regular produced custom, it's not all that different now that they all have the long neck tenons. However, the neck profiles are significantly different. They also get a slightly different serial number system to them. So this particular one, it gets the Burl top. Sometimes that's how things get in the Crimson Division too. They use specialized woods. You don't see a Burl top out of Gibson too often, and it looks like they slightly tinted the clear coat just to give it that nice, lightly aged look. And it feels to me it could be chambered. We'll have to figure that out on the workbench. But check out the movement on the back. That's a lot of fun. But another strange thing about this one is, look, it's got one of the 2022 70th anniversary medallions. Please, if you see these, there's no such thing as a 70th anniversary Les Paul. Every single Les Paul out of the Custom Shop in that particular year had that. And sure enough, our serial number dates it to 2022. So why did we not see this thing until 2024? In Gibson's tour video, as well as showing up at Bizarre Guitars? I don't know. Here's my best guess though. I think somebody custom ordered this and then they sent it back. Because that looks like a replaced nut to me. But that's how I purchased it brand new. Because usually you have a little bit of color over the bottom of it. But kind of a funny story of how I bought this one. So I just told you, I found it at Bizarre Guitars. I had made an offer, didn't hear from them for like 8 hours. So I decided to call up the shop because I thought it would be really fun to document this one. Especially if I post it right after that other video. It's just, kind of fun to build upon a story. Because the last time I bought something from them, it was actually back when the Noel Gallagher 355 came out. And at the same time, I bought that 70s Deluxe. So it's been a good year and a half since I've even talked to these guys. They recognized me instantly by my voice. And the manager actually put a note on this guitar, if Trogly calls, give him X price. I thought that was funny. So naturally, I decided to purchase it because it's one of the famous Gibson tour guitars. So let's figure out more about this by throwing it onto the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs. Inside our caramel top friend, let's go ahead and check things out. So what pickups are we rocking in? We don't have any markings, so I would assume it's the 68 custom humbucker. And the same thing is true for our bridge pickup. As far as our readings, 7.73 in the bridge, 7.46 in the neck, in the middle position just for fun, 3.79. But now here's where things get interesting, the construction. So we've got our long neck tenon. We were talking about that maple block capping off the truss rod. But it's so weird to see such a dark wood sitting on top of the mahogany. But everything's looking good here, but when things get strange is the bridge pickup cavity. So at first glance, everything's looking okay. You can still see some of the maple top right here before it's carved away into the mahogany body. So it's almost like this didn't get routed quite to the same depth as it usually does. Or perhaps this was a customer supplied piece of wood or something, and the thickness was like a little bit different in that area. You don't see that too often. But these knotty areas in the wood are always quite tricky to get them finished over properly because, you know, they're actually impressions in the wood. But they did a really good job on making it not stand out. Because I only see a few of them that actually look like impressions yet, but the big ones, yeah, they did a great job on that. Here you can kind of see what I'm talking about, how it looks like a ding on this one, but it could be much worse. Because this is the very unforgiving light, and you can barely even tell any of it. But this guitar's sad, frowny face, 2 eyes. But hey, that's kind of cool. That looks like a little jester girl. Like you've got the eye right there. You can see a little smile, and then that's half the jester hat with like some hair. Now I'm sad that piece of wood got cut off. But it looks like we have glue seepage over here. Might be buffing compound. I was unsuccessful in cleaning it off, so whatever it is there. It's not really noticeable when you have stuff on though. But as far as bridge and tailpiece, as I was telling you earlier, it's a true ABR1 mounted historically. The bridge itself looks like so. Then we also have a lightweight aluminum tailpiece. But so far, it doesn't look like this is actually chambered. It might just be really light mahogany, so that might be another reason why this one was bumped up to Crimson Division. So moving on from our 2-piece Burl maple top with our mahogany back, we've got that mahogany neck with a pretty standard ebony fretboard. You don't have any abalone purfling along the binding on the body or the neck or anything like that. It's just your regular mother of pearl inlays, ebony board. But whoa, kind of a skinny nut width, 1.68 inches. Increasing to 2.05 by the 12th. Yep, pretty chunky first fret neck depth, 0.91 and 0.96 by the 10th. It doesn't have a lot of shoulder to it, but it rounds up quite nicely on the back. The contour gauge captures that perfectly. See how rounded the edges are on it? That's an interesting neck profile. Now we move on to the face of the headstock. That's kind of a bummer on a Crimson level guitar. So the lacquer's actually chipping along the edge of the route right here. And this is one of those truss rods that leave the factory with a little bit of thread showing. Whether they left the rod too long, I don't know. But that's a bummer. But we get our historic style Les Paul custom truss rod cover. It's part of what makes the 68 reissue special. And it perfectly covers over that blemish, so you would never notice that unless you're adjusting your truss rod. But here's where you can really tell it has that yellowed over lacquer on the headstock. But everything else, pretty basic. Now, another reason this guitar looks a little bit different is the fact that we have cream plastics. Usually a custom has black, but whenever you cream them out, they just start to look very different. They kind of get a more angelic vibe. But when I think Burl tops, I think heavy, chuggy, chug metal guitars. So I would have loved to have seen this with a dark stain job. I'm not sure how I feel about the golden reflector knobs on this one. I mean, it's the best choice to match with these plastics, but the cream brings out all of this in the wood, whereas black would bring out the burls. But you will notice this does not have a pickguard from the factory. Installed anyway. There actually was a clear one in the case, and normally I'm not all that big on clear pickguards, but for some reason I kind of like the look of it on here. But moving on to the back. Once again, love the color of the mahogany back here. Very caramelized, and it's got some good dancing to it. But I'm surprised. It's not chambered. So it's a really good weight for a solid body Les Paul. But we've got our Black Beauty capacitors with our Gibson branded pots all wired up historically. So we're pretty good on that. And then we have a mysterious 14080 written on the back side of our Burl top. That's actually really cool to see the Burl from this side because it just almost looks like it's a straight up mahogany body. You can also see it peeking out over here in our thin binding in the cutaway, although it doesn't look that different from a flame top. Trogly from the future, notice something interesting right here. You can also see the Burl top peeking out underneath the binding right by the neck. It almost looks like somebody accidentally shaved down the binding a bit too much. Looks like we got a little bit of black finish buildup around the neck too. Take a look at our toggle switch cavity. You can see they route these a little bit differently than a regular custom. They've got more of a lip to it. And here is our 2022 medallion. But we can see more of our mahogany along the edges. Cream jack plate. And here's the other peculiar thing about this. The guitar was coated in dust when I got it. You see right around the strap button how I left a little bit right there? The whole headstock had that, so it probably sat around on that Gibson final processing rack for like a long time, or somewhere in the factory. There's gotta be a story to this one. And I found it. Here it is. Bizarre Guitar tends to get a lot of really strange, weird, custom-ordered guitars, and I appreciate them for taking them on and listing them because it's always fun to see. But how they get a lot of those is buying off of what is called a hot sheet. These are custom orders that were abandoned, / not paid for by a dealer, or perhaps even a runoff model, just something out of the ordinary that's not always available to order out of the custom shop outside of making up your own dealer custom order. Or I suppose maybe a customer return, I don't really know, but that's how this one got released into the wild. Now we can take a second to appreciate our neck. There's a little bit of candy cane striping in it, but no volutes on a 68. Then we've just got regular Grover tuners on this particular one, with our serial number 201438. As far as the blacklight test is concerned, I didn't see anything too out of the ordinary. Bitstock's looking cool, super glowing. Back and heel join was fine. But it did help me see that there's like a little bit of contamination in the finish right there. Like it almost looks like a ding, but I don't think that's what that is. But here's a lighting situation where you can see it move just a little bit. I was telling you guys this one was light. Look at it. 8 pounds, 10 ounces. For a solid body, that's not bad. So let's go ahead, plug this one in, and hear how it sounds. That was our fun. Now let's get our clean tones. that we know all about this interesting Crimson Division Burl Maple Top Les Paul Custom 68 reissue, what are my final thoughts? I had a lot of fun playing it, but I think that's more so attributed to learning that initial D song. That's Deja Vu, in case you haven't heard it before. All the initial D songs are just so good. Like, don't play them in your car or you're going to be getting a speeding ticket. Gas, gas, gas is another good one. But feel free to check out their work if you enjoyed what you were hearing today. But this thing was fun. Glad I picked it up. It's unique. It's a little bit different. It's one I will never forget. However, I don't think this is necessarily for my collection, but I would love to trade it for something that maybe I would keep, because you don't find pieces like these every day out of the Gibson Custom Shop. They're a little bit unique. So if you have something interesting like a Bats in Flight or like a Zodiac Les Paul, you know, something nice within the high end, feel free to let me know. Not really looking for multi-for-ones on this particular one. Otherwise, you can also just find it for sale at my website, troglysguitarshow.com. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed this Crimson Division Les Paul, you might enjoy checking out this next one too.